So, hello everybody. I believe we are live, so welcome. Our next stream will be on Thursday the 14th of May at 3:30 p.m. UK time. So, let's see. Welcome to Lando, welcome to Manisco, welcome to Oksana, welcome to Patricia and Peter and Victoria and Vitali and Oksana and everybody. Great to have you all. Okay, we were doing this article about resurrection plants that can go for weeks or months and months without water, and they were wondering about putting these in modern crops. So let's try it. The genetic switches that have been identified, Buitink adds, are often not specific, single, sole, precise to one thing. Specific, goes Oksana. Specific for Reynard, specific for Julia, specific for Peter. It looks like we've got an easy one to start with. Specific for Alex, single for Victoria, sole for Yuri, single for Manisco. Are single to one thing, are sole to one thing. Specific for Patricia. Okay, specific. Yes, specific is very definitely the right answer. So single. Why not single? Single to one thing. I might say singly to one thing as an adverb. I think that might work. But no, are single to one thing. No, and again, solely, you see, I would say singly. You see, this specific, it says it only affects, it doesn't only, it's not only one characteristic. I think sole, normally sole, a sole trader, a sole yacht on the ocean, sole, it's talking about one thing alone. Yeah, but a specificity. Okay, specific to one thing. Turn on desiccation tolerance, she says, and you will almost certainly change many other parts of the plant. Sole would imply that there's only one genetic switch. Yes, I think. Unique or specific? Yes, Vitali. Intimately entwined. Turn on desiccation tolerance, she says, and you will almost certainly change many other parts of the plant, and most importantly, may decrease its produce, yield, generation, proceeds. So, Oksana goes for proceeds, so does Vitali and Alex. Yield for Oksana, yield for Vitali, yield for Alex and Lando, yields for Peter, yields for Renyard, yields for Yuri, yields for Julia, yield for Manisco, yield for Patricia. Production, if it were an auction, decrease its production. Yes, definitely Lando. Would decrease its production. Produce is fresh vegetables. Its production would definitely fit, but produce, no. Produce is talking about fresh fruit and vegetable, lettuces and tomatoes and carrots and potatoes and celery and things like that. It's generation. Okay, to generate, you generate electricity, and then proceeds is talking about money. Okay, proceeds. Yes, it may decrease its proceeds. Yeah, it's the amount of cash you get. That's very good, Oksana. Okay, so you the proceeds of the money have an impact on its yield. Yes, its yield. The amount of food it produces. Yield, very definitely. And with crops we talk about the yield. But if a master switch, a gene specific to inducing desiccation tolerance can be found, it could be turned on when water scarcity, lack, want, rarity becomes an issue. So, scarcity, says Vitali. If water, scarcity, lack, want, rarity. Scarcity for Alex, scarcity for Yuri, scarcity for Peter, scarcity for Julia. Hi, Maurits. Water lack, says Maurits. Whoops, scarcity, says Oksana. Scarcity, says Manisco. Victoria says lack. Scarcity for Renyard. Hi Nadia, lovely to see you. Lack of water becomes an issue. Exactly, Alex, thank you. But not water lack. A lack of water. Water accessibility, good word. The difference between harvest and yield. Okay, the harvest is when you take the crops from the land and you have a good harvest. The yield is talking about the percentage. It's talking about the number of kilos per acre. So I believe if you plant potatoes, you will get about a ton of potatoes per 1,000 square meters. That's the yield. The harvest is potatoes. Yeah. And we had a harvest of a ton of potatoes. But yield is talking about efficiency. Is talking about the potential. Yield they also use in investment. So this provides a 2% yield per year. Scarcity for Patricia, scarcity for Nadia. A paucity of resources like water. Yeah. When paucity of water becomes an issue. Hi Anda, lovely to see you Anda. So it's definitely scarcity. Yield is you reap what you sow. Yield is talking about the percentage you get back. So carrots give a better yield than potatoes, for example. Slipknot, hi, lovely to see you. Ensuring that the yield of those crops would be unaffected if conditions are good, convenient to growth. That's brilliant, sorry. 1 second. Right, bear with me. Okay, so ensuring that the yield of these crops would be unaffected if conditions are good, conducive, convenient, suitable to growth. Can learning English give yield? I think learning English gives a harvest rather than a yield. Yeah? Because yield is talking about efficiency, Yuri. So, Maurit says conducive, Vitali says conducive to, Peter says conducive to, Alex says conducive to, Julia conducive, as in tending. Conducive is something that leads to something else, something that's good. So a relaxed atmosphere is conducive to sleep. Going to the gym every day is conducive to health. Manisco says good. Slipknot says conducive. Patricia says conducive. Nadia says conducive. Under says convenient. So convenient is something that is at the right time for you. So it's convenient for me to do this at 4 o'clock tomorrow. Conducive to, but suitable for growth. Suitable for growth. Yes, that's very good. That's fine, Renyard. That's what I do. Is favourable for growth, I would say. Suitable for growth, I would say, Maurits, as Oksana put it. Suitable doesn't fit. Conducive to. It's more normal. Suitable for. Suitable to growth. I wouldn't use to as the. It's not an easy preposition with suitable. Convenient for as well. Conducive. Learning English will give fruits at the end. That's the harvest. Suitable needs for. Suitable for growth instead. Learning English yields a good result at the end. Yes, Lando. That's very good. Well done, Lando. So, are good for growth. Convenient for growth. Suitable for growth. But conducive to. Well suited to. Are well suited to. Okay, we got a double here now. So I don't know if this is all going to fit. No, it's not. So bear with me. And yeah, here we go. Just as a resurrection plant only wilts, shrivels, dwindles, deflates into a crinkle of brown leaves during the long dry season, a crop plant might only lock shut, close, batten down the hatches when a flash drought comes out of the blue. So, suited to would describe quite a preparation for the plot for some plant. Okay, yes. Suited to. A plant is suited to this soil. So, wilts says Moritz. Victoria says wilts. Vitali says shrivel. Julia says wilts. The thread is suitable for crochet bags. Wilts says Renyard. Shrivels and battens says Peter. Alex goes for shriveled. Batten down says Victoria. Shrivels and shut for Oksana. Batten for Alex. Shrivels and battens for Nadia. Crinkle. Crinkle is a piece of paper that is very stiff. Crinkles. Or a leaf. A leaf when it's completely dry is crinkled. Crinkle is talking about into bits. Crumbles would work as well. Batten down the hatches. Shrivel says Patricia. Wilt doesn't fit. No, it doesn't. And that's why it's there. Batten down the hatches is a collocation. Absolutely. Batten down the hatches. Prepare for rough weather. A wad of paper is crinkled. Yes, for example, Yuri. Okay. No. Not because of into. Wilts. Shrivels. Shrivel is talking about dry out. Whereas wilt is talking about loss of osmotic pressure. We've had those hatches. Okay, so let's see. A plant wilts. If I don't water my plants, they wilt. Yeah, it wilts. And then, as time goes by, it starts to shrivel. And shrivel is talking about dried up completely. Whereas wilts is loss of osmotic pressure. Is to become flaccid. Dwindle, decrease, deflate without air. So shrivel, it shrivels into. Like a prune. A prune is shriveled, but not wilted. Very good. Hunker down, batten down the hatches. If I don't brush up on my English, it wilts. Yes, I think you could say that, Yuri. Yeah, when you can even say my energy wilts. Oh. Or even metaphorically, in the face of very strong peer pressure, he wilted. But to shrivel, let's see, the face of a very, very old person is shriveled. It's all dried up and pushed together. Wilt. Okay, wilt is it's talking about the leaves are drooping, but after they droop, they then shrivel, to shrivel up. So it shrivels and batten down the hatches. I think this is to do with a ship. Yes, that's it. Very good, Oksana. Wilt is the first. It happens first, and then it goes to the next day shriveling. It wilts into. I don't think wilts into is very good either. Yeah, it wilts into a crinkle, but the crinkle to me says it shrivels. It wilts. You can't wilt into a a crinkle. I think something wilts completely intransitive, but it shrivels into a crunchy, crinkly, crumbly crinkle of brown leaves, and that's the point. Batten down the hatches is on a ship where you put battens, pieces of wood along the edges of the hatches so that the water doesn't come in. It's to close completely. Okay, that was I knew that was going to be a good one. So let's try. This is exactly what happens in Kenya and Sweden. This is exactly what researchers in Kenya and Sweden reached, fulfilled, achieved, acquired in 2018 when they introduced a single gene from Xerophyta viscosa, a resurrection plant also known as the small black stick lily, into a variety of sweet potato. I lime Battenberg. I like Battenberg cake, that's very good. Okay. So, achieved for Vitali, achieved for Oksana. I like Battenberg as well. Achieved for Julia, achieved for Victoria, achieved for Alex, achieved for Peter. Battenberg cake, yeah, delicious. Achieved for Renyard, achieved for Nadia, achieved for Anna, achieved for Maurits. It's normally got squares of different colours, pink and yellow squares of Battenberg. So to achieve, to reach, you reach your objective, you fulfill your obligation. You acquire is to get, to buy. Yeah, this is exactly what they achieve. This is an achievement. They managed to do something difficult. Achieve is be successful doing something that's not easy. Or accomplished. Yes, definitely Vitali. Known to be important in antioxidant defense, the gene known as XVALD1 made these transgenic potato plants more resilient, robust, sturdy, buoyant to a 12-day dehydration experiment. Okay, resilient for Oksana, for Vitali, for Peter. Resilient for Victoria and Alex. Resilient for Lando and Julia. Resilient for Maurits. Resilient for Renyard. Robust. But robust to an experiment? Made these transgenic potato plants more robust. Full stop. Robust is big and strong. But robust too? No. Sturdy is also big and is strong and difficult to break. Buoyant is floaty. Yes. Robust is intransitive. Resilient, yeah, resilient too, exactly, Patricia. Resilient for Nadia, resilient for Manisco. If you're resilient, you can put up with difficult conditions. Resilience is a question that everybody is taught, is on everybody's lips. Resilience, being able to come back from different. Yeah, he had a robust body structure that usually stands out from the crowd. He was a sturdy, strong, and you feel buoyant but resilient. If you're resilient, you are resistant to stress. You are resistant to difficult situations. Resilient, adaptive and hard. Good, Peter. I like it. Compared to their wild-type neighbours, they remained green for longer, lost fewer leaves and grew taller even when disadvantaged, deprived, destitute, hard up of water. So, deprived for Oksana, deprived for Vitali, deprived for Alex, deprived for Julia, deprived for Lando. Deprived for Victoria. Deprived for Peter. So, hard up for Yuri. Hard up for Cash. Deprived of. Deprived for Nadia. Deprived of for Rainyard. Disadvantaged because it doesn't have. Destitute is somebody who has absolutely nothing. If you're destitute, you live in the you live in the street. Destitute, you have absolutely nothing. Due to the humid and scorching heat, I am deprived of sleep. Yes, boof. Somewhere like Myanmar, I imagine, can be unbearably hot and humid. Hard up for water would sound natural. Yeah, a plant is hard up for water. Yes, I think it would sound natural. This plant is clearly hard up for water. It's very informal though. Destitute is worse than broke. Yes, I think destitute is a strong synonym for broke. Because if you're broke, maybe you find a job. Sleep deprived or sleep deprivation. But if you're destitute, it is more serious than broke. To have absolutely nothing. Very good. Okay. Yes. So, if you're sleeping on the street and you have to beg for food, that's when you're destitute. Broke, at least if you're broke, broke is bankrupt, so they have to leave you one chair, one pair of shoes, one suit. His gambling habit left him destitute and he was down and out. That's very good. Plight, but plight is talking about the situation of somebody. A very sad plight. You're in the right area, Yuri. So, deprived of water. Deprived, not given. Okay, and here we go. Destitute for affection. Yes, you can. I think you certainly can. Or destitute of affection. His childhood was destitute of affection. Yeah, definitely. Importantly, they were tantamount, imperceptible, indistinguishable, same, equivalent, before the dehydration experiment began, suggesting the gene had no impact on growth or leaf structure. So indistinguishable, says Vitali. Indistinguishable, says Maurits. Indistinguishable, says Peter. Indistinguishable, says Julia and Nadia. They were the same. You need a the, Yuri. They were the same before the dehydration began. Indistinguishable, says Rainyard. They were tantamount. No, but tantamount says one thing is almost the same as another. Very different. Any difference between them was imperceptible. Indistinguishable, says Rainyard. Indistinguishable, says Alex. So indistinguishable. Impossible to distinguish between them. They were indistinguishable. Something is off. Indistinguishable. Indistinguishable from each other. They were indistinguishable before, so they were impossible. They were indistinguishable. The twins are indistinguishable. Impossible to tell the difference. Imperceptible is impossible to notice. Tantamount to just doesn't work. Destitute of time. Yes, I guess you could be destitute of time. The two brothers are like peas in a pod and indistinguishable before they are fully grown up. Yes, Julia. Okay, so they're indistinguishable from each other, but we don't need the rest of it. So genes from resurrection plants have been displayed, showed, shown, indicated, marked to improve drought tolerance in other plants too, including the lab favourite Arabidopsis thaliana and tobacco plants, Nicotiana. So shown, says Peter, shown, says Oksana, shown, says Lando, shown, says Alex, shown, says Julia. Shown, says Nadia, shown, says Manisco. So what about showed? Shown, says Renyard. Shown, says Maurits. Okay, your answers to me are quite interesting. Shown for Patricia, yes. To display is to show everybody, to put it in a cabinet. Have showed. Ah, show, showed, shown. That's very, very interesting, Oksana. It would be have shown. Have been proven to improve. Yes. I think proven to improve is probably not good English, but it works, Peter, very definitely. Mark to improve, no. Okay, so show, showed, shown. Although I would probably accept showed as well as a past participle, although I think it's probably non-standard. Always shown in the passive. Thank you, Vitali. Shown. For me, the right answer is shown. Yeah, showed. Have been seen to improve. Seen is a good word, Lando. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Still, with genetically modified crops, of any kind still required to pass severe, harsh, stern, austere, stringent legal checklists, Farrant has started to look for other ways to induce these remarkable traits of resurrection plants into crops grown today. So Oksana goes for stringent, so does Vitaly, so does Peter, so does Maurits. Stringent for Alex. Purported. No, purported says people say that this is true. So he's purported to be a very generous person, but I've never seen him be generous. Stringent for Reynard. He's purported to be the best actor in Paris. Stringent for Patricia, yeah. So she's purported to be the most beautiful girl in the world. Severe legal checklists. You see, severe I would normally use to talk about a punishment. The punishment was very severe. Stringent for Nadia. I guess a person could be severe as well. The weather could be severe, but normally severe talks about a severe punishment. Harsh weather, harsh conditions. Very, again, harsh I think it is like severe. Stern is when somebody is very, very serious. Austere is when you don't use much money or you don't use many resources. But stringent is talking about following the exact rules. Purport is used like claim. Stringent and tiresome exercises. Stern would work. Stern legal checks. Severe legal checks. Severe legal checks. Harsh legal checks. Stern legal checks. Okay, I would probably severe, harsh and stern might work, but they don't sound very good. Stringent legal checklists. Stringent laws are very stringent. Yeah, you've got to comply completely with the rules, and I think stringent is much better than severe, harsh or stern. Okay, so enough for today. That's been great. It's been really good to see you all again. So let's see, next stream will be on Thursday at 3:30 p.m. UK time. Thanks for coming, Julia. Thanks for coming, Vitaly. My pleasure, Maurits. Gracias, Lando. Thank you, Victoria. It's been great having you all. That's great. I'm glad you liked it, Peter. See you next time. So good it was. Thank you. Thank you, Oksana. Thank you, Manisco. Thank you, Julia. His austere mindset leads nowhere in his career. For speakers of Romance language, stringent is close in origin to restrain, restrict. Tide, stringere, string. Yes. Thank you, Oksana. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you, Alex. Rigid or strict. Stringent measures. Yes. So, whoops. And thank you to Alex and Julia and Lando. Thank you to Manisco, Maurits and Nadia. Thank you to Oksana and Patricia and Peter and Reynard. Thank you to Victoria and Yuri and Vitaly. Okay, it's been great. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Reynard. So take care, all of you, and I'll see you all on Thursday. Take